friends, how are ya? Welcome back to my channel for us. We need to catch up. There's just a lot that's changed in my life, and I'm in my temporary home in Nashville. It's only my home for a couple nights, but I thought it would be fun, and I just love getting a chance to not really know what the video is going to be and just be honest and give you my first candid answer to things. So I asked you guys over on Instagram, what are things that you need clarification on, want to chat about, whatever, anything under the sun. And I went through and I screenshotted very random ones in no particular order. And I feel like whenever I do Q&As, there's still a few themes that are by far the most asked, usually breakup, divorce related, dating related, or now there's a lot that were like nomad, future plans, buying house related. There's some serious ones. There's some quick, lighthearted ones. Let's just get into it, shall we? In a very randomized order. I also am brewing myself some Earl Grey tea, and I feel like it's gonna be really hot. Oh, it's kind of perfect. Oh, it's fall here. Okay, that's awesome. I just counted and I screenshotted 40. That's probably too many. We'll see how many we get through. This is in your order, the order in which you submitted them. So, how are you balancing sharing personal life with keeping some private? This is probably the number one thing that I need to figure out what I want. Right now, I feel very comfortable sharing almost everything. My therapist says that's a bad idea. I feel like when I keep things private, it feels like keeping secrets, which I don't like, but I know that that's not true, that I'm not obligated to share every detail about my life with everybody. And I think that's probably something a lot of people struggle with, whether you share your life online or just with your community, and like what are things that you want to keep for yourself. So that's something that I don't know, but will probably be a big theme and journey within the next year. I still have a lot of mental health things that I want to figure out how to be wise about, and that is one. Do you have a signature scent? If so, what is it? I have been using, I found finally this little oil of a scent that I love from Marion. I gotta find it just a sec. I am picky about scents. So many of them give me headaches. I like warm, earthy. I don't like floral. I don't like citrusy. I don't like fruity. And I finally found one that I like. This is a little Austin brand called Noah Marion, and it's in this little oil bottle that you drop. They call it the 1951. The scents are juniper berry, coriander, Texas cedarwood, fresh dirt, peppercorn, sandalwood, and vetiver, and it smells so good. So that's what I've been wearing every day since I found it a few months ago. How many hours do you typically work each day? It's very hard to track. I've tried to do time tracking to figure out that answer for myself, and it's very hard to know when I am filming 5 to 6 days a week, and when work starts, work stops, life starts, life stops. It's all very blurred for me. But I'd say nowadays I probably spend an average of 3 hours a day on the computer doing admin stuff, emails, all that kind of stuff. But that's 7 days a week. I typically do that on weekends also. I probably spend 20 to 25 hours a week filming. And then just social media stuff, probably a few hours a day. But all of that is very blurred, so that's a hard question to answer. What kind of time frame have you given yourself to buy a house? And what happens if you don't find one? In an ideal world, I would like to house hunt in February, buy something and move in March. I have very little faith that that's gonna happen. I feel like the more I watch the market, the more hesitant I am to buy. But that's the time frame I would like. But I'm not gonna buy something to buy something. So if I don't buy something in the next year, that's fine too. I'll just rent again. I'll just keep doing short-term rentals. I don't know, I'll figure it out. But that's kind of the timeline I have in my mind. I'm very open hand holding that whole process. This one's sweet. Biggest difference you see in Jordy in terms of what I've wanted in a man in the past. I think there's so many things about Jordy that I have never experienced. This is a thought I might get into more later because I feel like saying it out loud feels wrong to say, but I think I've realized that I have never actually been in love. It's such a concept to really like and admire the person that you're with, and that is new for me in a sense. Jordy is someone that I want to be more like, and I've never felt that in a relationship before. He's very giving. He's very honest. He is very others oriented. He's very in touch with his emotions, not in a way to where he gets emotional, but in a way that he can logically tell you when this happens, I feel this, and so I think the healthiest thing for me to do would be this. Or ask me those same types of questions of, when I do this, does it make you feel any sort of way? Does it maybe bring up something that feels familiar from your past? Let's talk about that and figure it out so I could be mindful and aware to not ever, bring up those types of emotions without realizing it. Things like that. He'll always, he's a 4, he's an Enneagram 4, so he'll sit down and talk about feelings forever if you want to. I'll phrase this better in a card chat soon. If you had married the right person, do you think you would have been just as happy being a nomad? Interesting. I do think doing this is an effort to continue to try to put myself first and get to know who I am as an adult after spending my transition into adulthood in an unhealthy marriage, to where maybe I kind of lost sight of who I am and just kind of became perfect little robot Michel trying to keep everything together and happy. I don't know if I would have had as much of a desire to do this had I had been in a healthier marriage and remained married, but it's nice to meet me, in a sense. How soon would you get married again? That's a great question. I don't want to rush into things. I don't want to wish away my 20s and just jump into a marriage necessarily. My biggest hesitation is doing something on a timeline to where I get a lot of negative feedback about it, which is stupid. That is so stupid. But I have told my family, I'm like, I don't want to get married again until I can be pretty positive that I won't get a lot of negative comments about it, because I want to enjoy it and I don't want to deal with that negative pressure. So I kind of want to do it on a societally expected timeline, not get married quickly just so that I don't have to deal with hearing negative things about it, which is probably something I should take to my therapist. That's probably not healthy, but because of that, I don't want to rush into marriage, mostly because I want the people around me to be excited with me so that I can feel fully excited once I'm in that season again. That's a very honest answer. I'm feeling honest today. I'm drinking tea. What are your go-to meals on a very ordinary day? I have a few frozen things that I will go to and make, but I don't know if that's exactly what you're asking. I love to make my opa soup because that's something that will keep all week. I've done it in a video before. I'll link it down below. Honestly, if I'm being honest, a lot of the times I'll do a just egg scramble, just something super easy. I have been eating out a lot more because I've been traveling a lot more. So some of my go-tos are sweet green. Love going to a sweet green. I'll normally get a crispy rice bowl or the mushroom one. Avocado toast. I will do that a lot as well on gluten-free toast. Would you consider doing nomad life for a year if you couldn't find a house to buy? Yeah, totally. I think in order to do this long term, I would have to stay in spots for a couple weeks at a time so I could feel settled, so I could actually hang up my clothes and feel together and not living out of a suitcase. And I also think I'd have to spend, at least a week or two out of each month in Austin to still feel like I have a home base and a community, be near family, go to a church, do all those types of things. So I think if I was intentional about both of that, maybe go visit a spot for 2 weeks and then come home to Austin for 2 weeks, and then go visit another spot for 2 weeks, come home to Austin for 2 weeks, whatever that is. Check back in a couple months with me though. My opinions might change. The best piece of advice you received while going through a divorce. I'm about to start that. First, I'm sorry. It's a long process and I feel for you. But I would say my best advice to you, don't take this out of context, but be okay with being selfish for a little bit. Be okay with canceling plans because you're tired with friends, or be okay with treating yourself to a great meal. Be okay with doing things that might feel selfish for the next little bit, because I think that it's important for you to put yourself first for a little bit after coming out of a marriage where maybe that wasn't the case. That's my advice to you. Have you considered taking nomad life to van life at all? I have always actually been super interested, mostly in tiny homes. And because of that, I've watched a ton of van tour videos. But after dating Jordy, I don't think I'd want to do van life. It seems really stressful to find a safe spot to park and to make sure you have enough battery and gas and clean water and all that kind of stuff. So I think if you had asked me before dating Jordy if I would want to do van life, I'd say, yeah, that sounds super fun. But now that I've seen it, I don't think I'm cut out for it. I think I could do tiny home life, but something that felt a little more okay, I have electricity, I have a flushing toilet, things like that. Do you feel more relaxed post-divorce? I feel way more authentically myself. I feel way more free. I think I also feel way more defensive, which has been interesting. And I think it's because my whole life up until my divorce, I let people around me tell me what I believed was the truth about me. Now that I am living my life a little bit more for myself, I also stand up for myself a bit more. So if someone says something to me or about me that isn't true, my gut reaction is to be defensive and be like, no, you don't know me. That's not true. I'm learning who I am and might have done something totally different a couple of years ago, but I'm exploring who I am now. And so because of that, I don't think that that's more relaxed, but I think it is more free in a sense, because I'm allowing myself to experiment and to explore and to just be more authentically myself. What would you do for work if not YouTube? This is something I think about often, because who knows how long YouTube will be around? Nobody's done this for longer than 10 years. So I always kind of have to think of like, if I was forced to pivot, what would I do? I think it'd be really fun to work in home staging. I think that would be a lot of fun. I think it'd be fun to start a little brick and mortar business. Some of you have heard my concept about Happy, flower, coffee, and gifts. My degree is in nutrition. So when I was in college, my dream was to work for Whole Foods and probably work in their, Austin offices. They have a great company culture. I don't know what I'd do there exactly. Now that I've done this, maybe something in their social media team. I don't know if I'd be cut out for like a 9-to-5 life after having so much freedom and being self-employed, but maybe I'd thrive. I don't know. How do you find being a Christian online? I feel like that question is just like, what are your experiences being a Christian online? I hope I'm interpreting that correctly. I mostly care about representing Jesus well to the people that have a hurt idea of Jesus because Christians may have treated them poorly in the past, may have not been loving, accepting, and caring. That is my main goal. I feel like something interesting about being a Christian online is other Christians will try very hard to tell you when you're doing things incorrectly. That's not my goal here. My goal here is to feel like a safe spot and a loving spot and to embody love in honesty to the best of my ability. I'm human and I fall short all the time. One thing that I didn't even think through was going to that pirate museum with my parents and getting the $1 fortune. It was their idea. I was like, that's fun. And a lot of people, I get it. I mean, it's literally in the Bible, or like, don't, like the whole false prophets things. And I get it, but it's also like, it's an interesting world to live in when you're like, this is clearly for fun and I don't actually believe this and I'm just being a human in the world. And when you then tell the world you're Christian, it's like a different level of criticism, but only from other Christians. So that's just something that is unexpected. How did your family and friends react to your new relationship after your divorce? I was shocked because I have never seen, especially my family, like who I've dated. And, normally they'll sit me down and they'll be like, hey, are you being treated well or are you just pursuing them? And like questions like that. And for the first time dating Jordy, all of my friends and family were like, go, 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 go. And I think I'm having to work through a lot of lies about like my own worth and just like relationships in general after being in an unhealthy situation for a few years. So it's been good clarity for me to listen to the people around me that actually see me in my life and see him and see the way he treats me and have them speak truth into my life, which has been the opposite of the truth that they've spoken into my life in the past. Instead of saying slow down, they're saying like, this is good, you seem happy, you're being treated well with respect, and you should do this. You know what I mean? So that was fun and interesting. Have you ever been a leader within a church? Did you have burnout and how did you deal? I've always been up until the divorce, I've been a heavy volunteer within all the churches. The church I grew up in, I helped like lead the kids stuff. And then moving to LA, I went to the same church for 6 years and I was on the team that was like the most involved. I probably volunteered 20 hours a week. And yes, I have experienced burnout for sure. At one point, my church in LA had 5 services a day. So it was pretty average to get there at like 7 a.m. and leave at like 1 a.m. and have all day there. And I don't think that was necessarily sustainable. I feel like I have been okay with taking this last year to be more of a, what's the word? I don't want to just say like bystander because that's not true, but to like focus on the community rather than just like serving so hard. And kind of, rebuild myself after going through a hard year. But I do have that itch to serve again. And I did try to get involved in a youth program at the church I was at. Hasn't really come to fruition the way I'd hoped it to. So I think that the way that I have healed or dealed, as the question asks, is taking this last year and just like being okay for once, not being the person there 30 hours a week, 20 hours, whatever that is. Do you picture yourself as a mom someday? Yes. I've always pictured myself having 2, maybe 3, probably 2 kids in my early 30s. And I don't know why, but I pictured that since I was in high school. I still kind of picture that now, like maybe having a kid at like 30, I'm 32. But you can't plan life. I can't tell you how my desires will change. Can't tell you if I'll have a surprise one day, or my parents struggled with infertility for 7 years before me. Don't know if that will be part of my story. I don't know, but that is what I've pictured. Are you going to do only vlogs as content, or are you planning other stuff in the future? Right now, my schedule has been usually Mondays be a sit down video, and usually Wednesday and Saturdays be vlogs. And I've liked that for now. December will be Vlogmas. So that'll be 5 vlogs a week for all of December until Christmas. But after that, I feel good with 1 sit down, 2 vlogs. I feel like that feels healthy, but I've changed how I do my channel so many times over the years. So I'm sure that'll change again eventually. How is Jacqueline's job going? And she said that you moved out almost right after she moved in. No, well, first, her job is going great. She's really enjoyed it. She said it's a lot of spreadsheets. And so she's like, I'm gonna do it for a couple years and then feel out what I want. But she likes her coworkers. It's kind of flex. She goes to different offices, different days of the week. So she likes that, you know, variety. But in terms of me moving out after she moved in, she told me up front, like, hey, I'm gonna have a couple months where I get to hang. And when my job starts, it's going to be crazy. I'm a newlywed, so I'm gonna be working and with Mark primarily. So I knew when her job started that even if we lived together, we probably wouldn't see each other very much, like maybe a weekend here or there, maybe holidays at my parents' house, whatever. I'm gonna end back up in Austin. Whether I live in the same building as her or not, I'll see her the same. And those were kind of boundaries that she, you know, subtly laid out to me of like, when my job starts, I probably won't have time to hang out. I don't think she's sad that I moved out, because we were very intentional about those couple months that we had living together before her job started of like, now is our time, and things will change inevitably when your job starts. So me moving out didn't really make a difference. Any more updates on the thong search? The Hoo Ha ones were okay. I've still been wearing the Skims ones, but if anybody works for an underwear company and wants to collaborate, I know exactly what I want. I will be difficult to work with in terms of material, in terms of colorways, in terms of rise, fit, fabric, coverage, all those things. I'm gonna be incredibly difficult to work with, but they will be the best thongs on the market if you wanna work with me, because they don't exist and I just wanna create them. How do I support and be there for someone who is going through a breakup due to cheating? I think the most important thing is to remind them that they are valuable and they are desirable, and their partner's actions have nothing to do with their value and desirability. It has everything to do with their partner's poor choices and being broken, and nothing to do with them. Because I think when you're cheated on, you can feel very unwanted, uncared for. I know I went through a season of being like, am I not beautiful? Am I not enjoyable? Like, why go look for something else? And so I can assure you similar thoughts are going through your friend's head. So whatever you can do to remind them, like, you are not the problem here, it's the other person who's broken in the situation, will be very healing and helpful to them. Do you view your divorce as a blessing now that you've found out all those things? Yeah, hugely. I mean, I would not want to still be with that person. I don't know if it was easier to find out so much after the divorce, because it felt like a 1-2. I don't know if just one initial punch would have been easier to heal from, instead of feeling like, okay, I've done a lot of hard work, I feel pretty good, I feel healed, I feel like I could date again, and then being slapped in the face with learning so much else. I wouldn't call the marriage a blessing, but I'd call the divorce a blessing. But I would say that I learned so much, and I think I was able to share a lot that hopefully helped at least some people, and that part of all of it was a blessing as well, even if it was just not good. What are things you're looking for in a house that are non-negotiable? Really, the only thing is that it has good light. That is the only thing I will be incredibly picky about, because everything else you can change. I mean, location. I know the general neighborhoods I want to be in. I don't want to be too far out of the city. I kind of want to be in the heart of it all, because I feel like that's also just good for the value of the house. Light is the only thing I'll be incredibly picky about. Otherwise, you know, if something's a little funky, I can renovate it later. That's the only thing. How to accept when a friend is no longer putting effort into the friendship. It makes me sad. That is something hard. I've actually had some conversations about that in my own life lately. And I think it's, for me, healing to keep in mind that friendships, most of them are seasonal, And that's okay. It brought you value and you brought them value and you had a great time for whatever that season might be. Like even for me, like having, you know, married friends and then now being in a season not of marriage, it's just naturally, there's not as many double dates and things of the sort. And that's kind of hard to come to terms with, but it's like that season of my life has ended. So that friendship is going to look different in a different season. Recognizing that it's normal a lot of the time for some friendships to be seasonal has helped me come to terms when I get sad about friendships seeming to drift. What happened with brands that you work with or you used to work with but you don't mention anymore? There's so many brands that I had like year-long contracts with that I still use every day. Like True Earth laundry strips, I still use those every single day. Third Love, the bras, I still wear those bras every time I wear a bra. People don't watch YouTube just to hear about products, so I try to be mindful about like giving recommendations and talking about things when I want to. Also, of course, like that is literally how I make money is brand deals. That's how I am able to produce content and have a team, but not making all of my content only about that. And just because I don't mention something doesn't mean I don't still use it. And there are some things that I don't still use, I'm sure from years ago. Like I had a little bit of a falling out with a brand that I loved their product. It was like kind of in the supplement world years ago, and they just treated me poorly as a creator. And so even though I love their product, it put a bad taste in my mouth, and like I don't use that one anymore. A lot of times I still use them. I just don't want to spend every vlog being like, this tea that I'm drinking is this brand and it is very good. You know what I mean? Because that's not enjoyable, I don't think, to watch. What did you want to be when you finished high school? What are jobs that you've had prior to YouTube? When I finished high school, something in the nutrition world or acting world were the two things I thought I wanted to do. But the jobs I've had, this is fun. Okay, first job was I worked at a home store. It was a little boutique on Main Street of my small town. I worked alone, open to close. It's called 259. And then I was a hostess at a little restaurant called Cypress Grill. And then I was a food runner at that same restaurant. Then I moved to LA. And I had odd jobs here and there, like working for Tastemade or nannying or whatever. I worked at the Culver Hotel in Culver City as a hostess. And then I worked at the Culver Hotel as a line cook in the kitchen. And then I had my personal assistant job for a celebrity couple. And then I moved to Pasadena and I worked at True Food Kitchen as a server for a few years. And I think that those are all the main big jobs. But as in LA, you have so many odds and ends jobs. Like you just like nanny for this family 2 days a week and all sorts of things like that. So those are the big ones. This is the most asked question I get. Are you and Jordy gonna move in together? I have no plans on moving in with him. We're long distance, so of course, like when we see each other and we're in the same city or whatever, but I don't plan to move in with him, definitely without being engaged, but probably without being married too. And even when I'm visiting California, where he lives, I have my own spot while I'm there, mostly so I can work, but we have no plans of moving in together. What are you most proud of this year? Surviving. Allowing myself to feel feelings, allowing myself to show feelings, standing up, brushing myself off, starting a new life for myself. I think we find community, safety, and stability by doing what other people expect of us. And I think it's been really freeing, and I'm really proud of myself for trying different things. Like this little thing of putting my stuff in storage and floating around for a bit, that I'm proud of myself for not feeling too much pressure of living my life the way that others want me to. Did your ex ever say anything to you after you found out all the additional information? We don't text, we're not in contact. The only contact I've been in is over Venmo. When I found out about all the affairs, I sent him a Venmo request for an STD panel, and he messaged me back on Venmo and eventually ended up paying for it, which thank you for the panel. Do you feel differently now about people marrying young? I think I was too young to get married. I don't think I was too dumb to get married, but I don't think I was honest and confrontational enough yet to get married. I think that that's something that you develop over time with age or with experiences. Some people develop that younger than others. I don't think that there's a right or wrong way to do life at all. I think some people can get married very young and have a great marriage and relationship. Had I waited longer, I would have been much more honest and probably have not ended up in the marriage that I was in. So, but I'm not going to project my experiences onto other people. I'm not going to rain on anybody's parade. You live your own life. That's all I really got to say about that. Oh, that was my last question. I skipped a couple that seemed more repetitive once I actually started answering some other ones, but this was fun. I love videos like this so much. It's a treat for me because it feels like I can just be the most myself, be super honest, and not have to plan or like stress about, you know, thinking through things. It's like a little just honest coffee time with y'all is what it feels like. It feels like connecting with a friend. So thank you for allowing me to do these videos. Taking that out of my vocabulary. Thank you for watching this video that I wanted to do. I got to meet a lot of people a couple nights ago here in Nashville at Jordy's show, and I just like felt so much care. And that's the thing that I want to tell to those of you who are here for good, pure intentions is just thank you for, I can feel the care, and I hope you can feel the care from me back to you. I'm incredibly thankful. I love you. I hope you have the best rest of your day, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye.
So give me a sign. Give me a sign. Oh, give me a sign. Baby, give me a sign. Just give me one more talking to you. Here we go again, staying up all night to see if you've been texting me. Where do we go from here?